Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steelers Mike Tomlin sends strong message on usage of Justin Fields package. When asked about the Pittsburgh Steelers' controversial usage of the Justin Fields package in Week 12, head coach Mike Tomlin didn't back down. Certainly, there's a potential of disrupting the rhythm of the offense, but we're more excited about the challenges that it presents the opposing unit, and I think that's reflective of our general attitude. We live in our hope as opposed to our fears, Tomlin told reporters confidently on November 26. Earlier, Tomlin also confirmed that the Fields package is now a component of what the Steelers do offensively, although he would not say how often Pittsburgh would call upon the dual-threat quarterback in the future. Once Justin Fields got healthy, he's a viable and capable dude, Tomlin said. It's something that our opponents have to be aware of. When we use it or how much we utilize it will be dependent on plans week to week. As for Tomlin and offensive coordinator Arthur Smith's usage of Fields against the Cleveland Browns, the Steelers head coach simply noted that there's a strategic component that I won't get into detailing. He added that the coaching staff feels comfortable with the decisions they've made so far. Steelers QB1 Russell Wilson spoke after Tomlin on November 26, and a reporter asked him if he was surprised that he wasn't in the game for the key third down that Fields was given versus the Browns. Wilson didn't bite at the question, however, providing a team-first response instead. I think that we all as a team are trying to make plays, are trying to do different things, Wilson replied. Obviously we have trust in Justin Fields, too, and what he can do and what he's capable of. Listen, I always want to be in there, that's just the competitor in me, the veteran signal caller admitted with a smile, but at the same time, I think that, like I said, we have great trust in Justin Fields, and our team and our coaches and everything that we're doing. We should have won that game, Wilson concluded. We felt like we battled. Unfortunately, we came up short. As usual, Wilson is choosing to keep things classy, and that's the main reason this rare QB rotation works. Fields took off on a 30-yard run against the Browns, igniting a somewhat stagnant Steelers offense. He also missed on a couple of deep passing attempts, one of which drew a roughing the passer penalty. There's no foolproof method of when to use Fields, and when not to use him. For now, it seems Smith and Tomlin are trusting their gut. The results, as expected, have been mixed. Fields spoke to reporters on November 26 as well, and he expressed that he was glad he was able to get a chance to help his team in Cleveland. Having said that, Fields did acknowledge that coming off the bench mid-game can be difficult as a quarterback, in terms of things like rhythm and timing. I mean, yeah, he responded. I think it does affect you, but at the end of the day, that's what my job is. So, you can't complain and, like I said, anytime I get a chance and an opportunity to go on the field and help my team, I'm happy to do it. Fields was unsure if the weather factored into how much he was used in Week 12. He also had no knowledge of how much he might be utilized against the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 13. Russell Wilson told Pittsburgh Steelers are carrying him as NFL legend slams QB. Cam Newton made it clear he's not impressed by Russell Wilson's performance, despite the latter's success in leading the Pittsburgh Steelers on a 4-1 run as the starting quarterback. According to Newton, the praise for Wilson has been overblown with the team having carried him. Despite Justin Fields boasting a 4-2 record as QB1, Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin opted for Wilson, which seemed to pay off particularly with wide receiver George Pickens shining. However, following a defeat to the Cleveland Browns on Thursday Night Football, Newton shared his candid thoughts on his former competitor during his 4th and 1 podcast. He said, Russell Wilson is being carried by the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm looking at his situation and I'm saying he's not doing anything different. Furthermore, he questioned the quality of teams they've faced with a sly comment, what alarms me was this statistic that is like Wilson is undefeated, the Steelers are 4-0, who have they played? They played the Jets, the Giants, a still-on-the-bubble Washington Commanders team, and they played the Ravens. By the way, Chris Boswell kicked all their points versus Baltimore. Since stepping in as the starter, Wilson has nailed 7 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, sporting a notable 98.6 quarterback rating. This impressive stat places him at 10th in the NFL, surpassing stars like Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, and Brock Purdy. Despite his top-notch performance, Wilson's stint with the Steelers might not be set in stone. On just a one-year deal, Pittsburgh's offensive coordinator Arthur Smith has made comments hinting they view Fields as the main man, saying, "I still view Justin and he is, I think, a premium starter in this league, so it's a fine line. You don't want to be a gadget guy, but he can help the team." As Wilson eyes free agency after this season ends, he could land a lucrative contract as numerous teams desperate for a quarterback upgrade might enter the bidding war. Arthur Smith, named candidate for UNC job, has some traction with key people. The University of North Carolina fired Mack Brown as their head football coach earlier today, and one name that's emerged as a candidate to replace him is Pittsburgh Steelers offensive coordinator Arthur Smith. A UNC alum, Smith was listed by The Athletic's Bruce Feldman as a candidate for their head coaching job. One potentially intriguing option with very strong ties at North Carolina is Pittsburgh Steelers offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, who we hear has some traction with key people in Chapel Hill. Smith played offensive line at UNC and began his coaching career there as a graduate assistant, Feldman writes. Smith was one of 11 names referenced by Feldman, so by no means does it mean there's a high likelihood Smith will leave the Steelers. But he does have prior head coaching experience with the Atlanta Falcons, although taking the UNC job would mean leaving the NFL for the first time since joining the Tennessee Titans in 2011. Smith played at UNC from 2001 to 2005 and served as a graduate assistant there in 2006. He left after one season to be a defensive quality control coach in the NFL for Washington, where he spent 2 seasons before returning to college to spend 2010 at Ole Mississippi. Since then, Smith has only coached in the NFL, and the changing collegiate landscape with NIL would mean Smith is entering a world with which he's not as familiar. But coaching at his alma mater could be a pull, and Feldman notes that having his father, the founder of FedEx, help potentially bankroll some NIL initiatives could also be a draw. It's still early in the process, with Brown just being fired earlier today, and UNC and Smith likely wouldn't have many discussions while the Steelers season is still going on. If UNC wants to have a coach in place quickly to get ready to attack the transfer portal and the offseason, it likely won't be Smith. Still, his name is worth watching for the vacancy given his ties to the school. A successful return to college could also keep him as a name to watch as a head coaching candidate in the NFL. Given how long it's been since Smith coached in college and the changing tide of college athletics, it might also take a hefty salary to get him to leave the NFL. We'll see how fast UNC wants to move in its head coaching search, and if the Tar Heels take their time finding their next head coach, it could be a sign that they're interested in bringing in Smith. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Arthur Smith? Leave your opinion in the comments.